At this time, I'd like to call upon Chief Justice Robert J. Torres to deliver the eulogy.
Hafide and Manana Sidus, as Tony would regularly say. Mr. Joaquin Blaz, Kimberly, Maria, my godson Joaquin, Christina, Alicia, Amanda, Kindu, Mark, Monica and Mike, extended family and friends, distinguished guests, señoras and señores. Many of us know and have heard about Tony, the public figure. He served 5 terms in this legislative halls as a distinguished senator and vice speaker and assistant minority leader. He also held prestigious positions as heads of several government agencies and at one time embarked on a progressive business venture. Throughout his professional career, both public and private, he was straightforward and honest, and he had a penchant for getting things done. In this worldly life, those types of accomplishments and accolades are all too often the measure of a good life. But today, as we repay our respects and honor the life and the service of the Honorable Anthony Crisostomo Blaz at this state memorial, I want to speak about what mattered more to Senator Blaz, about what would have been his measure of a life well lived. I want to speak about the person in Tony, the father, the brother, the son, friend, and my compadre, Tony Blaz. And as he used to say, that's Blaz with a Z. He had an inner compass that helped point to the way forward, the way up, and the way out of any difficult situation. Kimberly, Maria, Joaquin, and Christina, I'm going to take you back a little in time, but it's good for others to know a bit more about your dad. That added up to making him the person that he was. Tony and I graduated from Father Dueñas High School in 1976. Our friendship began many years before then because our fathers were close friends. Tony attended grade school at San Vicente while I was at Cathedral Grade and later Bishop Baumgartner. But being at different schools and living in separate villages did not keep us apart. While we were still in middle school, Tony and I wanted to earn some extra spending money and asked our dads if they could get us summer jobs. We were excited when they told us they had secured jobs with the newly opened half-a-day theaters. We wondered whether we would be doormen or ushers, counter salespersons, or even assistants in the film room helping operate the equipment. We should have known something was amiss when Mr. Blaz said we had to show up for work by 6:30 a.m. and he would pick me up at 6. The theaters weren't open that early. I vividly recall Mr. Blaz picking me up in that black Volkswagen Bug and driving us to the theaters. Mrs. Blaz, Auntie B, had also made a delicious lunch, as she had many times that summer. Much to Tony and I's chagrin, when we arrived at the theaters, we were directed to the utility closets, given rolling trash cans and mops, and instructed to pick up and empty all the trash and mop the floors. We were hired to be janitors. And I'm certain this would be against child labor laws today. We also had Leo Slotnick as our boss. Now, those of you that know Mr. Slotnick would appreciate he was not a warm and fuzzy kind of guy, but a hard-nosed boss. He made it a point to inspect our work almost daily and insisted that we could make the floor less sticky. Considering the pocked concrete floor and all the soft drinks that were spilt the night before and left to dry, Tony and I were convinced this was chemically impossible. Our first summer job was not glamorous. It was hard work. Tony and I tried to make it as fun as we could, sometimes racing to see who would finish a row first. You'll be amazed what you find on the floor of a theater. Sometimes we'd find money. Other times we'd find things too disgusting to even mention. There were some perks. We could eat the unsold popcorn from the night before and have 2 free soft drinks, but the candy was off limits. We also got to know the theater staff as they showed up later in the day, and throughout the following months, they almost always let us in to see the movies for free. Tony and I watched many movies together: Billy Jack, Harold and Maude, Summer of '42, Diamonds and Forever, and Bruce Lee's Big Boss and Way of the Dragon, to name a few. We remembered those days as if they were yesterday. We also saw our first X-rated film at Half a Day too, which was showing X-rated movies then, although that was completely by accident when we stumbled in on a screening for the new movie. Years later, Tony tried to half-heartedly convince me that that was the only X-rated movie he saw in his life. You don't even want to know what we found on the floors of that theater. We learned valuable life lessons, and I'm confident this experience helped shape Tony's public service career because he appreciated the working class and the dedication and sacrifice it takes to perform well at a job. Among his significant accomplishments, I believe that Tony can ring a mop better than anyone I know. During that summer, I spent the night at Tony's house a few times and got to know his siblings and extended family even better. They always made me feel welcome, and we ate well. They are and always will be family to me. During one of these sleepovers, I received a call from my mom, who in a subdued voice began, "Bobby, your brother was almost seriously injured in a tragic accident." Shocked, I asked what happened. She went on to explain that he was riding my Honda SL70. Yes, I loved bikes even then. And it caught fire and blew up. Worry turned to fury. My temper flared. I specifically told them not to ride the mini bike because the carburetor was leaking. It was a huge loss because I paid for that with my own money. Armed with language newly acquired from watching R-rated films at the theater, I lashed out and vowed to take revenge. Tony very aptly calmed me down. To this day, I remember him saying, "You can get another bike, but you can't get another brother. Be happy he was not hurt. Ken and Mark, this was your brother. And I know he loved and cared for you with the same type of regard. If you ever felt he was hard on you, it was probably because he felt the two of you were irreplaceable." During our high school years, Tony's humor and wit could be classified as a dangerous weapon. He had an infectious smile that was preceded with a hearty laugh. It was not the unarmed person who needed to fear a battle of the wits with Tony. Rather, it was the person who had found his match because he had an endless supply of comebacks and clever low blows. Indeed, he had a lot of friends. There were some who wondered whether some of Tony's friends were there just to be in closer proximity to his sister Alicia. Maybe, maybe not. But he was never in short supply of friends. What made Tony also stand out in high school was that he paid much attention to Guam's family lineage. Even as a budding adult, Tony was culturally astute and had a keen interest in cultural preservation. Tony spoke Chamorro probably better than anyone in our class, and we were envious of this attribute. We were both accepted in the University of Notre Dame in South Bend and requested to room together. He was proud to join the family lineage of Notre Dame alumni after his father and two uncles, General Ben Blaz and Alfred Uncle Uppy Blaz. We became roommates, 1127 Flanner Hall, and trudged through the trails of college and trials of rigorous college life and a campus culture that in the 1970s wasn't always kind to two island kids from Guam. Guam? What's Guam? You guys live in grass huts? We decorated our dorm room with Guam posters and carried our Guam flag to the ND football games. Our flag was even spotted at an ND game shown on national TV in Guam, 1 week later, of course. Tony chewed the previous peeled and frozen pugwa every so often, and we shared a common rice cooker that we always took to the dining hall every day. The first 2 years at Notre Dame were the worst winters in Indiana history, and the workload was intense. The no-frills, dorm life, homesickness, and the short daylight hours of the Midwest winters challenged us even further. And we bickered, sometimes over insignificant things. The new environment was taxing, and for the first time, our friendship was showing signs of strain. We decided we would no longer room together, but in retrospect, it was because of those experiences that we even became closer friends. Tony relished his years at Notre Dame and remained true to his faith. He never missed Mass, even when study time was at a premium because of a big exam or a paper that was due the next day. He discovered the Basilica of the Sacred Heart on campus and the sanctity of the grotto before I did. He was the one who recommended that we baptize my firstborn daughter at the Basilica. He was so excited when they began to install a new organ at the Basilica with nearly 3,000 pipes, and dogged me about attending Mass right away so we could listen to the organ. It was amazing indeed. He'd be thrilled to learn that they're in the process of removing that organ and replacing it with one with over 5,000 pipes. It's scheduled to be operational by Christmas 2016, and the Blaz family, we must collectively plan to attend a Mass at the Basilica after it's operational in Tony's honor. Tony was a big part of the support brigade after I got married in my junior year and would always be there to help with my new family in any way. He'd drive his Toyota Celica from his apartment at Castle Point, stop at Martin Grocer's, and head to our place ready to cook. We perfected the art of winter barbecues, and we found any excuse to get together for Chamorro food. His role as big brother and protector of the family became even more pronounced when his younger sister Mandy enrolled at ND. It wasn't easy for him to watch his little sister enjoy the freedoms of college and grow up, but he was always on standby, looking out for her. Mr. Blaz, you and Auntie B certainly raised Tony to have respect for others, and it showed. When we graduated in May of 1980, he was proud to join the rank of alumni. When Father Hesburgh, the president of Notre Dame, who we fondly call Ted the Head, was scheduled to pay a visit to Guam, everyone knew who to call to facilitate his visit, Tony Blaz. Many years later, Father Hesburgh remembered Tony and talked graciously about his extraordinary hospitality and warmth during the Father's visit to Guam. Tony had a way with people, and it was inevitable he would venture into the political arena. When he was director at PUAG, I hated going out to lunch with him because I was always on a short timeline with the busy law office schedule. Tony would stop and talk to everyone at the restaurant. Not hi and bye, mind you. He would talk story with everyone. Not surprisingly, in his first run for office in 1990, he was the second highest vote getter. Everyone loved Tony. The way in which Tony treated people in the community was nothing compared to how he treated his own family, especially his children. Describing him as a devoted father is an understatement. He taught his 4 children, Kimberly, Maria, Joaquin, and Christina, to respect others as he had been taught, and armed them with the strength of faith and love. He provided for them and raised them with the courage and conviction that's so rare for a single male parent. Tony was fortunate, though, to have the cohesive family structure rooted in his parents that branched out to his siblings, Alicia, Amanda, Joaquin, Mark, and Monica. You were the support team behind his missions in life, who helped make his life complete. Tony was blessed as well to have an inner compass that showed him the way up, because life at times rendered him some blows. In 2006, he suffered a stroke that impaired his speech and movement. It would have been enough to quash the spirit of any of us. What more, someone of Tony's character, lively, energetic, ambitious. But it wasn't his way to give up, and he knew he had to find a way to fight his way to recovery so he could preserve the quality of life he wanted for his children. His pride and willpower were extraordinary. Never once did he complain to any of us, nor did he seek sympathy or favor. He bravely looked for the way up, the way forward, and the way out of difficult situations. And all the while, he demonstrated to his children the most valuable of life's lessons. He taught them in the end that what matters most is that people remember your goodness. We remember today not only his intelligence, his determination to overcome challenges, and his accomplishments as a leader. We remember his spirituality and his humility. True to his form, Tony chose a phrase from Jimi Hendrix as his graduation quote in the 1976 Phoenix Yearbook. It goes like this: "If the power of love could overcome the love of power, there would be no more wars." He truly believed it. I'd like to end my tribute to my compadre, Tony Blaz, by sharing a portion of the prayer of blessing from our 1980 Baccalaureate Mass at Notre Dame. God of our fathers, whose almighty hand leads forth in beauty all the starry band of shining worlds in splendor through the skies, our grateful songs before your throne arise. Refresh your people on their toilsome way. Lead us from night to never-ending day. Fill all our loves with heaven-born love and grace until at last we meet before your face. A line from that second reading from that Mass is also appropriate to mention today, and that was from the book of Revelation 22, line 12. "Look, I am coming soon. My reward is with me, and I will give to each person according to what they have done." We grieve the untimely death of our dear friend and public servant, Senator Anthony Crisostomo Blaz, but we rejoice knowing that our dear son, brother, father, and friend has done everything in his human capacity to deserve the reward of our God and the love of his people. Thank you.